Hey guys, I had a cover image covering my face because this is a difficult conversation we're about to have. At least it's going to be difficult for me. I apologize for the groggy voice. It's early, hence the coffee. I just heard a plane up in the sky go by, and yeah, that's a plane full of doing a terrible, irresponsible thing. I don't actually feel that way, just FYI. But this is the moral purism that I'm talking about. So essentially, I want to start by saying that this is a scary time. We don't know what's going to happen over the next month or two. It, the thinking back to is H1N1, which I believe was in 2009, if I'm remembering correctly. It was around there. And H1N1 was a really big deal. About 1 in 5 people were infected with it, which is similar to. Oh, hey, Wolf Rhymes, I saw your comment yesterday. Glad to see you made it today. Totally different subject matter. But 1 in 5 people caught H1N1, but the death rate for H1N1 was quite a bit lower. So it was equivalent to about the flu, influenza. So about 0.02%, if I'm remembering correctly. Whereas the coronavirus is, in South Korea, we're seeing rates like 0.6%. In Italy, we're seeing a rate of 3%. It kind of oscillates. We don't really know for sure. There's been a lot of deaths, but not enough deaths to give us like really clear data on that regard. So it reminds me of H1N1 in some ways, but in other ways, this does have the potential to get a lot worse. So with H1N1, I think, I wonder if I wrote that down. Yeah, so 12,000 people died in the US with H1N1 and 20,000. That doesn't seem right. Was it 1,200 or 20? It was 20,000 globally. You might want to fact check those numbers, but it was a lot of people and it was a big deal. And then we all kind of got collective amnesia about it and went on with our lives and totally forgot about, pandemics being a problem. Now, I basically want to start by saying, like, I understand that things are bad, things are unstable, we're kind of scared. A lot of us are quite alarmed with what's happening. So that when I go on to say what I'm gonna try to say, and I want to say for the record, this is going to be difficult for me because I'm a people pleaser. I like to not stir the pot for the most part. And I want people to like me, so I don't want to say things that are going to inflame people or make people mad at me. I don't want anyone to be mad at me. But this is an issue of courage for me because this is what's on my heart and it's what I want to talk about. And if people are going to be mad at me for saying it, then that's okay. Part of the reason that I wanted to go live every day was to push myself out of my comfort zone and to explore talking about a wide range of topics. And that's what we're going to be doing. So, all right. In nations that haven't been quarantined, so for example, like Spain and Italy right now are quite heavily quarantined. People can't pretty much do it. Like everything's closed except for supermarkets and pharmacies. The power is with the people. So it's up to us to, until the government steps in and takes really strong measures, such as closing schools, things we've already been seeing, canceling large public gatherings, things like that. It's up to us to do what we can to keep other people safe, to keep ourselves safe, our families safe, and so on. But here's the problem. The problem is that very easily crosses a line over into moral purism, where you're a bad person because you're on a plane and I'm a good person because I'm staying at home. And it's not that simple. Situations like this are never so black and white. In fact, I worry that this is an elitist thing to say. People have to travel for one reason or another. People have to go to work. There are so many people on this planet who cannot stop going to work unless, their jobs are literally canceled and like everything is shut down, as with Italy or Spain. So to assign a moral judgment on that, so some of us have the luxury to design our lives in a way where we can sit at home all day. Like we can stop going out to eat, we can stop going to work because maybe we work from home. We have a lot of freedom and flexibility to make those decisions. But there are also a lot of people who don't have the freedom and flexibility to make those decisions. And I worry that by labeling, and by judging people on their choices in moral terms. Like, you could kill people if you expose people to the virus. You could, like, that's true. It's like a fact. If you travel and you contract the coronavirus and you pass it on to someone who's more vulnerable, maybe you start a chain reaction, then it's possible. You could do that from travel. You could also do that just on a trip to the grocery store. Being at a grocery store in like Manhattan is really not that different from being at an airport, like in terms of you're exposed to so many different types of people in close contact. So I really worry about assigning judgment, about saying that someone's a bad person, or even just thinking in those terms. I think it's very fatalistic and unproductive and a little bit elitist. So that's kind of what I want to say. And again, I don't want to be like, I'm not being willy-nilly about this. I don't think that we should all just like sing songs about rainbows and unicorns and be reckless and careless. I think that we should all take a lot of like the precautions that we can take, we should take. But we also want to be careful that for those of us who either are unable or unwilling, or circumstantial evidence keeps us from essentially living in a bubble for the next, I don't know, month or two, we should be more understanding of each other, instead of making other people feel like they're a bad guy and an irresponsible person for making decisions. Now, there are people who are irresponsible. So there are people who have confirmed cases, like we've heard in the news, of course, people who've had confirmed cases of the coronavirus and then go to large gatherings. And that's a very clear, that is like, I feel fairly comfortable making a moral judgment on something like that. But it's not quite the same when we're talking people who are when we're talking about people who have to do what they have to do and who are taking steps to be careful. I mean, there's really only so much we can do. And yeah, I just want us to stop thinking in such black and white terms. I mean, there's always an element of randomness with illness too. So it's pretty fruitless to assign blame. I mean, if we look at Wuhan and Italy and other places that have had really extreme, really bad situations that are still unfolding, like more so in Italy and Spain currently, how is it productive to assign blame at that point? To say, like, you should have done this, you should have stayed at home, you shouldn't have gone to work, all those things. It's just like a totally unproductive way to approach the situation. So I think if we are going to be productive, then we need to remove the moral stigma, while also encouraging people to be cautious. And that's pretty much what I want to say. But again, I worry that by saying this, I'm sounding glib. I do take this seriously. It is a big deal, but I do think that treating a situation like this in black and white terms is harmful to people as well. So I'm just going to have a quick look at the comments and then I'll sign out. My heart's beating, you guys, like pretty fast. This is stressful for me to talk about. So I appreciate those of you who've joined this conversation. 89 Husker is saying first responder here. Oh, wow, that's amazing. I can't take off and care for my kids until I get off, mandatory shifts too. Well, take it. You just joined. I guess you'll have to rewatch it when it's finished. But I tried to leave a little bit in the description. Finally, I just stay safe, be kind to each other. Try not to be too judgmental. Let's all do what we can in a spirit of love. Take care, guys.